Hi Kate, let's go ahead and work through these videos. So this first one, we can see that we have a right triangle here. And we have two legs of the right triangle, so we can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the third leg. So this is one of our legs. So we'd say A, we can call this B, and our hypotenuse is always C. So we'll say y squared plus 4 squared equals 8 square root of 2 squared. So we'll have y squared plus 16. Now when we square 8 square root of 2, we want to square the 8 and square the square root of 2, which is 64 times, the square root of 2 squared is just 2, so times 2. So 64 times 2 is 128. Okay, so now we're going to subtract 16 from both sides. So we get y squared equals 112. So then y would be the square root. Y is the square root of 112. And we'd want to see if we could kind of reduce that at all. Simplify that. So 112 is 2 times 51. And 51 is 3 times 17, sorry. So those are all primes, and we can't pull anything out. So for y here, we get the square root of 112. Okay, and now we have to learn something, remember something that we learned here in this unit, back the very first lesson we did in this unit, and that was that our altitude of a right triangle, so that's this line here that's going from the right angle perpendicular to the other side, that the length of that is the geometric mean of these two bases that it's cutting the two triangles into. And so the geometric mean, remember, like if we have A and B, the geometric mean of those two numbers is the square root of A times B. So we know that the square root of 112 is the geometric mean, so equals the square root of x times 4. Now if we're taking the square root of both of these things, that means 112 has to be equal to x times 4. So we're going to divide both sides by 4. So we're going to have 223. So that gives us our base here. And now we can use the Pythagorean theorem to solve for this hypotenuse, since these two are the legs. So to find z, we could say z squared equals the square root of 112 squared plus 23 squared. So z squared equals 112 plus, sorry, I've got to figure out what 23 squared is. 23 squared is 529. So z squared equals 641. So z would be the square root of 641. And we could reduce that. Which doesn't really simplify at all. So z would be the square root 641. And I'm really glad you asked both of these questions together, because hopefully seeing that last one actually helps you with the other two questions that you asked. So if we have the legs of the two legs of a right triangle, we can find the hypotenuse using the Pythagorean theorem. So if we label this as C, we can say C squared equals 4 squared plus 8.2 squared. And 4 squared plus 8.2 squared is 83.24. So C would be the square root of 83.24. And if it was asking for a decimal or something, we could put that into our calculator and get an approximation that's approximately 9.1. Okay, so I know we didn't learn the Pythagorean theorem in this section, but it's something that we know, and we have it anytime we have a right triangle and we have two of the sides, whether it's a hypotenuse in one of the legs or two of the legs, we can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the third one.